Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling the very first steps of your financial journey, a phase that honestly trips up so many people.
All right, so let's get right into it. The journey to financial freedom. Where does it actually begin? Because here's the surprising truth. We don't all start from the same place. We always picture a starting line. But what if your race starts way, way behind it?
For a huge number of people, the first big win isn't earning their first paycheck. Nope. It's just the long, tough climb to get back to an even playing field, just getting back to zero.
Okay, so check this out, because it shows two completely different worlds, right? On one side, you have the typical path in places like the US or Australia. Going to university almost always means taking on student loans. So you walk out with your diploma and say $30,000 of debt. You're starting in the negative. But then you look at a place like Vietnam, and it's a whole different story. It's really common for parents to pay for university. So you might graduate with $0 to your name, but hey, zero is a whole lot better than minus 30,000.
So look, it doesn't matter if you're starting from scratch or from deep in a hole. The first real step toward independence is always the same. You've got to earn your own money. But here's the kicker. The most important thing you learn from that first job, it's usually not about the money you take home.
This quote just nails that aha moment perfectly. It's from a young guy, Jaden, who had a fast food job. And it hit him one day, that cup of coffee he wanted to buy, it cost him 1 full hour of his life. 1 hour of being on his feet at work. And when you start thinking about money like that, not in dollars, but in hours of your life, man, that changes everything. That perspective shift is huge.
Okay, so once you're earning, the next big goal is what we call financial self-sufficiency. This is that moment where you can finally stand on your own 2 feet. You're paying your own bills, buying your own food. You're not relying on anyone else. It's a massive deal. The analogy here is perfect. It's like learning to swim. You're finally able to keep your head above water all by yourself. No more help needed.
But here's where it gets a little dangerous. Getting to this point, it's a huge win, but you're also in a really fragile spot. You know how to survive now, sure, but it's so easy to slip and fall right back to where you were, or even end up in a worse position. So what's the hidden trap here?
It's the trap of bad debt. As soon as you have your own steady income, it's so tempting to start thinking, oh, I can afford that. I'll just pay it off later. And that little thought, that's the beginning of a very slippery slope. A cycle of debt that can totally sneak up on you and just pull you under.
And listen, don't make the mistake of thinking that borrowing from friends or family is somehow free money. Even if there's no interest, the cost can be absolutely massive. We're talking about your credibility, your character. You risk losing the trust of people who matter to you. And that constant weight on your mind, that mental pressure of knowing you owe someone you love, that can be way, way worse than any financial interest rate.
Okay, but that's just borrowing from people you know. Things get a whole lot scarier when we start talking about debt with interest. And I'm not talking about good debt like a mortgage. Nope. I'm talking about the #1 financial trap for young adults: credit card debt. Just look at this number, 35%. In a place like Vietnam, that can be the average annual interest rate on credit card debt. Let that really sink in for a second. This isn't just a little fee, it's a fire hose, shooting your hard-earned money, your future wealth, straight into the bank's account.
And to really see how insane that 35% is, let's put it in perspective. Look here. Your savings account might get you what? 5% if you're lucky. If you have an amazing year in the stock market, maybe you get a 15% return. Now look at the credit card debt. That 35% cost just demolishes any potential gains. You're losing money more than twice as fast as you could possibly earn it in a great investment year. Your money is definitely working hard. It's just working for someone else.
So when you put all these pieces together, being in debt, relying on others, even just getting by on your own, it all falls into what we can call the survival zone. And the scary part is, a lot of people get stuck here. They spend their entire lives just trying to stay afloat, living paycheck to paycheck, under constant stress. So let's just run through those survival stages one more time. You could be starting in debt, or maybe you're dependent on your family for support. And then you hit self-sufficiency, where you're covering your own costs. You've probably been in at least one of these stages. But here's the key.
the goal isn't to stay here. The goal is to get out. Because escaping the survival zone, that's the real starting line for building wealth and finding genuine financial freedom. So, you've learned how to survive. The big question now is, are you ready to learn how to build? In our next explainer, we're going to show you how to take that next step.